Hi guys. Today we're going to be talking about technical lettering. The purpose of technical lettering is to make sure that all lettering on a design document looks standard and uniform. As you practice your technical lettering, it is likely that you will feel like you have returned to kindergarten, but that's okay. As we begin, you'll notice there are lines and arrows with numbers to indicate the direction needed for making each letter. To begin, we will practice making vertical lines. Vertical lines are drawn toward you. This helps to prevent the rotation if you're working away from you. You have to control and hold your wrist steady when you draw toward you. So vertical lines are drawn down or toward your body. And we're going to start by tracing the line that is present. So there are 3 lines visible. Then you'll notice there's 2 tick marks for 2 additional lines. This time you have to connect those lines. Finally, you have 2 tick marks that are just at the top. For these 2 tick marks, you have to complete the line. This is the same stroke that will be used to draw the letter I. As we proceed across the top of our paper, we are working with the simplest letters that have the least number of lines. Each letter is made of a series of strokes, and the strokes are identified and marked off with the arrows and the number in which they should be drawn in. So for example, the letter L is first drawn down and then across. You should literally pick up your pencil and place it again. This is not a continuous line, it is 2 separate lines. As we practice going through all of the letters of the alphabet, numbers 0 through 9, and the ampersand, we will create each letter or redraw each letter 3 times. First, we'll trace it, and then we will draw it in the open grid box. Given that you have one grid box to look at, the one that you draw in the open grid box should be the same height and width. And then we'll practice it one more time in the open box. Again, it should all look just like the very first one. I'm going to continue across the top with the T and the H. H is 3 lines. The first 2 are vertical lines down, and then the line across to connect it. Notice that the H is not the entire width of the box. As you continue through harder and harder letters, you'll notice that when you create letters with multiple lines, you may have to go in different directions than what you would think would be normal. One of the letters that I like to look at is the C and the S. You're probably accustomed to drawing a C in one single stroke. When you look closely, you'll notice that the C is drawn in 2 strokes. The first stroke going out, and the second stroke coming around and making the C. Trace it, draw it in the grid line, and then complete your C. Finally, do it one more time in the open box. Notice the S. The S is one of the most unusual of the letters. The S is made with 3 separate strokes. The first stroke of the S goes out, the second stroke comes around, and the final stroke of the S comes to the inside to make that final connection. I know this is going to feel weird. I do not expect you to be perfectionists the first time around. What I do expect is to see you attempt the proper method for creating your letters. Over time, letters become standardized and they all end up looking the same. This is the type of lettering that I'm going to ask you to use on your design notebook. The last portion of the lettering assignment is to copy this sentence as you see it 3 times in the space provided. So skip a line as you see that there's a space between the first line, a good drafter letters, and the second line, neatly and rapidly. Follow the principles that you've practiced above to the best of your ability, going back and looking at the method and trying to keep the letters the same width and height as the line above. Taking your time. And then skip a line to complete the last portion. If you know anyone who has been in engineering or technical lettering or in any kind of a construction field, you might notice that over time they have started to write in all capital letters. That's probably because they had to do this many times. For the purposes of our class, I want you to complete this one sheet. I want you to write this sentence 3 times. So this is 1, skip a line, and do it 2 more times to complete the lettering practice for your design notebook.